Hi, welcome back to Blue Mountain Bushcraft and Outdoors. You know, the marketplace is full of knives that claim to be the ultimate woodsman's knife, the ultimate survival knife, the ultimate bushcraft knife. They range in price from ridiculously cheap, poorly made production knives all the way up through high-end, extremely expensive custom blades. Today I have something for you that fits within that genre. It's not going to break the bank. I think you're going to be interested in this one, guys. Stay tuned. So at the beginning of the year, SHOT Show 2016, Mora introduced a very new kind of knife for them. They introduced a full tang survival knife called the Mora Garberg. But the one common complaint that I heard and continue to hear about the Garberg is its price. So with Mora reaching up into the $100 price range for this knife, kind of opened up the doors to a lot of competitively priced competition. And that led me to start searching around to see what else was available that might be a competitive option. And that led us to the knife that I have for you today. It is a knife from Finland. It's not overly well known here in the United States. And it is from a Finnish military surplus company called Varustelika. And pardon me for my pronunciation. I have no doubt that it's probably pretty terrible. So let's get up here over to the stump, and I'll get this knife out for you and get a closer look at it. I'll run down some specs and show you some of the interesting things about it. The company, like I said, that has these manufactured and they are the sole source for these knives is a Finnish military surplus company by the name of Varustelika. And all the links and things like that will be down below for you guys to go check them out. And this particular knife is the Terava Jaakarripuukko 110. They have one that is a bit longer, but I do not own one of those yet. So let's move on with the specifications. The blade length is 110 millimeters or 4.3 inches. The width, this portion from here to the edge, is 26 millimeters or 1.02 inches. And the thickness is 4 millimeters thick, and that translates to roughly 5/32 of an inch. The steel material on this particular model is a low alloy tool steel called 80 CRV2. The heat treatment on this seems to be excellent, and Varustelika claims that it is hardened to 59 HRC. The handle is a very simple molded rubber handle, and the weight on this is 175 grams or 6.17 ounces. One last thing I forgot to mention, the overall length on this blade is 240 millimeters or 9.4 inches. There are a couple of different sheath options for this knife. If you choose to purchase just the knife by itself with no real sheath, what you're going to get is a plastic sleeve that slips over the knife and secures itself up here onto the handle. If you want a sheath for it, Varustelika does sell a leather sheath, and that is what I opted for here. Now, this leather sheath is an added cost option, but it is molded around the very same plastic insert that comes with a knife. So there is plastic in here, and it is wrapped in what seems to be a very nice grade leather. Stitching is nice and even. It's got 2 rivets, one down here at the bottom, one up here towards the top. It has a dangler belt attachment system. Again, seems to be very well done. And the knife is secured through a rather unique setup that I don't know that I've seen before, with this snap. I'll show you how that works. When you go to sheath your knife, simply push it in. You can hear it click in place. The snap at this point is not locked, and you can see that even without that locked in place, this thing is not coming out of the sheath unless you pull on it. So when you're around camp and you're just working with a knife and it's going in and out of the sheath, there's really no need to snap this snap because this thing is in here very snugly. When you decide you're going to be done with a knife and you're just going to be storing it in the sheath in your belt, squeeze that snap, and now this thing is absolutely locked in place. It's solid, it's firm, and it's not going any place unless you unsnap it physically or give it a really strong yank. Show you the inside of the sheath here. See this top portion through here, your leather is doubled over. You see that in the seams here, making this fairly rigid and tough. On the inside, you can see that plastic sleeve. So as you're looking at this, you'll see there's no welt, but with this setup, there's really no need for one. So let's take a look at this knife a little more closely. You're going to see a very high Scandi grind on this 4mm thick blade. And Varustelika says that this is sharpened to a 23-degree inclusive angle, which makes the cutting edge on this knife, despite its size, very thin and very controllable. You can see the flats of the blade here appear to be a darker color, and this isn't any kind of a deliberate finish. This is merely a byproduct of the heat treat process that they chose not to clean off. As I just said, the spine is sharpened. This one throws sparks very well. However, it did not throw sparks well right out of the box when I got it. This particular knife right out of the box had a tiny bit of a secondary bevel along the edge, and when you ran your thumb along the spine, it felt pretty sharp, but it threw pretty pathetic sparks. It did not do a good job. So I took some time with this and put this on my Waterstone and just worked that bevel down to where I think it was supposed to be from the factory. So I did not rework the spine myself. I actually took that to a gentleman who has a belt sander, and he did it for me. It really did not take him very much at all. He said the corner here was just a tiny bit rounded off. So my guess is in the final finishing process, whoever was doing this knife just got a little careless, rounded this off a little bit, and probably didn't do as good a job as they should have with the initial bevel on this Scandi grind. Let's talk about this handle for a moment. Handle is very simple. It is a molded black hard rubber. It's textured and it's grippy. It feels a little on the soft side. It doesn't feel like hard plastic. It's definitely a rubber material. And wet, dry, doesn't matter. It's very grippy and very secure. You'll see a little bit of contouring going on here. You've got a nice palm swell, a very understated guard, small understated guard back here, a little bit of a palm swell here, and that's it. I find this grip to be incredibly comfortable. One of the most comfortable knives that I've owned yet. Very impressed with the design of this grip. All right, so as you can see, this is a full tang knife, but it runs all the way through. It's very solid, and it terminates back here in this pommel, which doubles as a very large lanyard loop. All right, so we've thrown around a lot of dimensions, and it's probably a little difficult for you to fully picture what those dimensions are, even on the screen here. So I'm going to roll in some actual pictures of this that I took alongside of a Mora Garberg. Unfortunately, I don't own one yet. I do intend to, but I haven't gotten around to picking one of those up yet. But I'll put some pictures of this in next to the Garberg so you can see how it compares. And we're also going to put some pictures in with some other pretty popular knives just to give you a feel for the size and the dimensions of this blade and what you can expect from it. And while I don't have a Garberg here for the video, I do have my Mora Bushcraft Black. This is an excellent knife from Mora. Costs about half as much as that Garberg does, and has a lot of similar qualities between this knife and the Jaakarripuukko. Both Scandi grinds, both have rubber handles, both have sharpened spines. You will see that the spine on the Mora is considerably smaller and thinner. However, with the edge geometry, cutting performance is very, very, very similar. The other big difference here is that the Jaakarripuukko is full tang, whereas the Mora is a partial tang. Now here we have a very comparable comparison. This is the Tops Bob, brother of Bushcraft knife. Very, very, very popular blade. And you can see that the bob is actually a little bit thicker. The bob is 3/16, where the Jaakarripuukko is about 5/32. They are both full tang. However, the bob does have its tang exposed, where the Jaakarripuukko does not. Both have exposed pommels. While the bob looks like a Scandi grind at first glance, it is not. It starts off at a Scandi, but they have put a secondary bevel on here. The bob is a bigger overall knife and heavier, but if you look at the actual cutting edges, try and get a better angle for you. The cutting edges start, actual usable workspace between these two is very similar. Okay, we've gone over all the specs, we've done a bunch of different comparisons. Should have a fairly good feel for the dimensions and the overall build quality of this knife. Let's put this thing to work and you can see how it performs. Now the edge is held up. Guess I probably should have done this in the beginning, but it was pretty sharp. Got a little hitch on the edge. Right there. I can't see it, but I can feel it in the paper and I can feel it with my nail. Probably from chopping into that knot. Perfect. Okay, so if you stuck with me this long, and I hope you have, or even if you've skipped here to the end, this is where I'm going to tell you how much this knife costs. I remember in the beginning I said the search that eventually wound up with me finding this knife was based off of the introduction of the Mora Garberg. It's a big thing for Mora, full tang knife, Scandi, all the goodness that's Mora with a full tang, but at $100. How much do you think this knife is? 100, 125? You got good tool steel, you've got a great handle, full tang construction, an excellent sheath, a few little things that needed to be cleaned up right out of the box. What if I told you this knife by itself, with just the plastic sleeve and no sheath, was $25. That's right. $24.99 is what you're going to pay for this knife from Finland with just the sleeve. If you want the sheath, this particular sheath, it's going to be $54.99. There's got to be a catch, right? It's coming from Finland. What's shipping? 30, 40 bucks? Nope. Shipping to the US on this knife, or on your order, complete order, I ordered this and some other things, is $9.99. So even with shipping, you're looking at $65 if you buy absolutely nothing else but this knife. You can't beat that. I don't know how Varustelika is making this knife and this sheath with this much quality for the price that they are. But it brings me to my next question, is why are some of these other companies not producing something similar at a similar price? Because this is fantastic. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. I was really excited to bring this knife to you because I think that highly of it. If you can't tell by now, I'm pretty excited about this. All the links will be down below for Varustelika. Remember, this is the Jaakarripuukko 110. If you like this kind of knife, you're going to want to buy one. I guarantee it. And I don't say that lightly. All right, guys, I'm done for now. See ya.